How did we ever make it to the moon with 60s technology? How did we ever make it to the moon with 1960s technology? Man, I was just talking to my son today about that, and it just baffles me. It really does. And want to welcome you out here, Computer Hope, and want to welcome our replay viewers right now. Want to give you some incredible value right now and some cool stuff. My name is JackLater. For those of you who don't know me, my name is JackLater. I'm an internet marketer, and I've ranked in the top 10 of 3 different internet marketing systems. And I'm also a science professor. And I had a talk with my son today, and he's a pretty smart kid, and we were talking about how in the world did we ever make it to the moon. In 1969, with the computer technology they had back then, it was so ancient compared to what we have right now. He made a comment. He says, "Dad, did you know that you have more computing capabilities on your little iPhone than what they had to send the man to the moon in 1969 when he first landed on the moon, and thereafter, even 10 years later, it was in dinosaur land." So I don't know what your opinion is on this. How did we ever make it to the moon? In 1969 is when Neil Armstrong landed on the moon. How did we ever do that with the technology that they had back then? It just blows me away. When you watch that movie Apollo 13, Apollo 13 landed, I think, about a year and a half later, maybe 2 years later. It wasn't much more advanced than it was in 1969. And I got to tell you what happened. When Apollo 11 happened, when Neil Armstrong landed on the moon, we were really anticipating it. I know this kind of dates me, but I was a little kid. I was like, I think I was like 12 or 13 at the time. And what happened is that we were all excited about this. And when I was even younger in elementary school, everybody wanted to be an astronaut. They had been going to outer space, and then they started circling around the moon, and they were sending up those big, massive Saturn V rockets up in space, like pretty frequently. And the astronauts were like heroes when they came back, and so there was a lot of buildup in the news media around the moon landing. So anyway, they had circled the moon, and then they were about ready to land on the moon. And so my dad went out, and we didn't have cable. I don't even know if cable was around in 1969. I know there was closed circuit, but so my dad went out and bought a TV antenna, a real big one, a real fancy one, and put it on our roof the day before. It was a mad rush to get this big TV antenna up on the roof, just so we could get a good view of the moon landing when it happened. And guess what happened? Okay, the thing is that the moon landing, we were in Virginia, and Neil Armstrong was going to be landing on the moon in Virginia time, I think it was like around 11 o'clock at night or something like that. And about 2 hours before the landing happened, our power went out. Our power went out. And we're here going, oh my gads, our power went out. And I said, okay, hopefully it'll come back on. Hopefully it'll come back on. It never happened. It was like, God, you look forward to this thing that was just awesome. And our power was out. And it's like watching the world, getting ready for your favorite team to play in the NCAA tournament, and your power goes out. Or the Super Bowl, and you've been waiting for your favorite team for 10 years, and the power goes out. And so we had to watch it the next day, replay. Well, that was still cool. And we got to see all the news reports and everything. And it was, that's the thing, it was just news reports at that time, the next day. Because it was just, it was exciting, and it was like, it was all over the news. They were, interrupting programs and taking breaks and talking about, what was happening, what the astronauts were doing, and I missed the landing. I mean, I saw what they were doing afterwards, and I remember them re-televising over and over again, planting the flag on the moon, and I don't remember much beyond that because the excitement was kind of blown out because our power went out. But as I think back, and you watch that movie Apollo 13, it really is real accurate. And you see the guys with the big computer reels. I remember my brother-in-law used to be he was a computer technology person, a computer scientist in the 70s, and he used to carry these big computer reels around with him, and the big long computer tape. And you see them carrying these around in Apollo 13. That's exactly what it was. And so to think that my cell phone has less or more computing capability than what we had going to the moon. I mean, if we were to send we were talking about this today, my son and I, and we were saying, if we try to send a man to the moon today, with computer technology of 1970, we would be, people would say that this is absolutely impossible. It's stupid. It's dangerous to send people up with old computer technology, but they did it. They did it. And except for Apollo 13, which did come back precariously, but they did come back. There was an accident in space. There was that fire on the moon, or on the landing pad or the launch pad, and there was also the Challenger and the other disasters. But and those were with more advanced computer technology than Challenger was. So we wouldn't think of sending a man to the moon with today's computer technology or with 1969 technology. Now, so how in the world? It still baffles me. How in the world did we get somebody on the moon? Okay. Well, you know the story. We wanted to beat the Russians to the moon. If you think about it, the people weren't really that excited about moon rocks, but they sure were pretty excited about beating Russia to the moon. Because of the Cold War thing and all that. That's a whole other debate. But, hey, Jay, it's good to see you again. Anyway, we were talking about how in the world we got people to the moon. And talking to my son about this. You'll have to catch a replay if you missed the first part. But we had a real good discussion about how in the world we got somebody to the moon. So, we're thinking about this, and we were just bound and determined. Here Russia was as big as we were. As a continent, they may be a little bit bigger, I don't know, pretty close. And they had military might. They had the Cold War with, the nuclear missiles aimed at each other, and the whole Cold War thing that we were concerned about the Russians beating us militarily more than anything, I think. But also technologically. And I asked my son, I says, well, you know what started all this, don't you, as far as this race in space? And I said, well, it was Sputnik going up in about, 1957 or 58, I think. And we were concerned that the Russians actually launched this satellite around the Earth, and they were the first. And people were scared, they thought, oh man, maybe the Russians are going to spy on us now, and maybe they could shoot missiles at us, maybe they could drop nuclear bombs from space, and so the U.S. Quickly started launching satellites into space, and then we knew that we were going to have a race to space and getting a man around the Earth, and we beat on that one, and we knew that we had, there was this constant race and we had to send a man to the moon. And remember Kennedy, in his speech, that he said that, I mean, the goal was to get a man to the moon before the decade is over. And we did that in less than 10 years. See, that speech must have been, what, in 1963 or 64? 63 probably. And we landed a man on the moon in 1969. 1969. Not very long. So why were we able to do that? With the technology that we had. We didn't know how to do it. And if we were to do it today, we would do it a lot differently with the technology we have now. But we did it. It was imperfect. It wasn't perfect. But yet we were bound and determined to do whatever we can to get a man to the moon, right? And I realized there was controversy involved there. You know, there were opponents to sending a man in space into the moon, and for all the obvious reasons, for taxes and other things. But the goal was there that we were going to do whatever we could from where we were with what we had to get a man to the moon. And so the question I ask is, for your own business, is are you willing to do whatever you can to make your business happen? And, you know, one of the reasons why I did so well, and the reason why I hit, let's say, well, I hit exactly $4,300 my third month of my business, and about $11,000 my 11th month. And then I was able to hit the top 10 in 3 different internet marketing systems, is because I made a decision early on that I was going to do this fast. I was going to do whatever I can from where I am with what I've got, and I was going to make it happen. And I wasn't going to make excuses. I was just going to move forward and take action on a daily basis. I didn't really know what I was doing, okay? And I learned as I went. I'm still learning. You never stop learning. But I was willing to do whatever I could. And so I want to encourage you to do whatever you can in your business to make it happen with your priorities in order. I mean, keep within your values and everything, but your family deserves it. I'm going to encourage you to go to workwithjacklater.com, workwithjacklater.com, and download my 8-step checklist and video walkthrough to 30 to 50 leads per day. I teach you how to market online. I teach you how to get those leads. I take you over my shoulders with a video to show you exactly how I do that. And I also give you on my blog there at workwithjacklater.com, I give you the science of getting 100% commissions, and I show you how we do that. Actually, I have a video with my friend Tom that shows you exactly how we get 100% commissions. So make sure to check either one of those out, and make sure to come back to this Periscope on a daily basis, except I don't do them on Sundays, but I do these Periscopes just about every day, around 10 o'clock when I can. Sometimes it has to be later on in the day when 10 o'clock doesn't work for me, but we hit it at 10 o'clock today. So anyway, hope you got some value from this story. I just thought I'd share it with you. We had a neat talk with my son about the Apollo missions, and it's been a neat thing. So anyway, hope you got some value. Go to workwithjacklater.com. Feel free to share it. Hit the parody below to share, and swipe sideways or down to share it with your social media, your Twitter, your Facebook, and others. And don't forget to go to workwithjacklater.com and get the value that I talked about, and make it a great day. Bye.